You're gonna need a bigger boat. So serious.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing the Gold. I'm Shadan Larkey.
I'm Erica Richards.
All right, y'all. So this is part 2 of ranking all 30 movies that I saw at the Toronto International Film Festival. This was my 4th year back at the festival. It is the highlight of my year. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. I love TIFF. I'm not going to spoil any of my rankings. What I'm going to do is alphabetically list every single movie that we talk about in the show notes with trailers, release dates, any information. Nothing in this episode is going to be spoiled. I'm going entirely based off of trailers, what's available on the TIFF website. I'm not going to get into anything that's not publicly available. I don't want to spoil it for Erica or anyone else. As I mentioned in the last episode, every movie that I saw, I didn't see anything that I actively hated, nothing that I wanted to walk out of. So I think every movie that I talk about is worth your time, some more than others. So yeah, Erica, do you have any questions, any primers as we dive into this list?
How do you feel differently about these top 15 than you did 16 through 30?
So basically what I did is I made like I put love and I wrote all the films that I loved, and then I did really liked, and then like disliked. So my last 2 were my actively disliked, and then I had a lot that I liked. We talked about it in our last episode that TIFF felt like the festival of the aggressively average dad film. There were a lot of films that were just fine, perfectly fine. A lot of them are going to be on streaming services very soon. Like perfectly fine for a couple hours on a Friday while you're making your dinner. Like, you know, not reinventing anything, not doing anything you haven't seen before, but nothing that you're going to actively be upset over. I think the top half of this list, they're just films that I'm thinking about more. One of the things that I do anytime I go to a festival or just watch a lot of films, I'll just say like how many of them are ones you can just remember off the top of your head. And these 15 are those 15, right? They're the ones that I was most excited to tell you about, most excited to tell my mom about. Anytime somebody would text me and say, "What have you seen?" These are the ones that I sort of thought of immediately. So that's kind of how I went into it. Honestly, when I was making my list of loves, there were only 4, like only my top 4 I can say I genuinely loved. So make of that information what you will. But it's hard. I think this was a good TIFF, not my best TIFF. But it was ask me in a few months. It'll be interesting to see if I rank anything differently. But actually, before we started this, I was going through my list and I was looking at my back half, and I was like, is there anything that I regret putting in my back half? And no, I think even if I rewatched all of those films again, they would still be in my back half. The ranking may be a little bit different, but I think that there's a clear sort of delineation of what's sort of the top creme of the creme, if you will. Yeah.
I think another question I have, and you can choose to answer this now or you can choose to answer it after you give your rankings, but out of all of these films, I want to know like what was your most anticipated? Like which one were you looking forward to the most?
Okay, so I had a list kind of going in. I always do that where I was like, these are the films that I would just be devastated if I don't see. Hamnet, The Testament of Anne Lee, Sentimental Value, the new Knives Out Wake Up Dead Man was on there. It Was Just an Accident was on there. Sacrifice was on there. Frankenstein was on there. So I'm very fortunate that I got to see everything that I wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's dive into it because I'm ready. I can't wait to see where these things fall on your list because I'm so excited.
Okay, number 15 on my list is the only animated film that I saw at the film festival called Arco. It's a French film that's going to be distributed by Neon. Very similar to Robot Dreams, kind of reminiscent of Flow in some ways, and there's, more visual storytelling rather than dialogue. It's about this sort of, fantastical world where the rainbows that you see in the sky are actually people flying back and forth in between
Oh,
time, and
cute.
that's
Okay.
where rainbows come from. And so this little boy, he's on his first flight, and he gets stuck in the past. And so he like meets this little girl, they become friends, and she's sort of on this mission to get him home and get him reunited with his family. It's very sweet. The animation is just beautiful. I absolutely see a world where this is like top 5 Oscar nominee for animated feature.
Okay.
I mentioned a lot in the back half that I just didn't find myself invested a lot, and in this one, like I was very invested. Is it as good as like a Flow or a Robot Dreams? Maybe not, but I really did like this movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to watch it with the kids in my life. I think they'll really enjoy it. I think the animation is just beautiful. It's colorful. The score is really good. Yeah, it just reminded me of like the magic of childhood and made me want to be a kid again. And it just made me smile, and it made me feel all warm and cozy. And I really, really enjoyed it.
And it was called Arco.
Arco, yes. My one complaint about this, and I don't know why they did this, but because it's a French film, but they showed the English dubbed version. So I'm gonna definitely see it in French when I can, because I think if I did, it would probably be even higher on this list.
Okay.
And I felt like it was unfair for me to punish it and put it lower just because I didn't like the dub, because that's not their fault. But it just it felt like I was watching a dub. And I was like, I wish I was.
It altered your experience.
It altered my experience, yeah.
Yeah.
But I really liked it. I wish I would have two sort of regrets of TIFF 2025. I wish I would have tried to see a couple other animated things. And also I have to say, Erica, like seeing an animated film at a film festival is so fun, because the little kids come and they're like, cinephiles in the making, and they're so excited, and they're like sitting up tall and on their best behavior, like so excited to be there with their parents.
I love it.
Yeah, I saw The Wild Robot at TIFF last year, which was also one of my favorite experiences. So it was really, so yeah, I wish I would have seen more animated films. I didn't see any documentaries, unfortunately. I've heard the John Candy documentary was good, sort of the one that everyone was talking about the most.
Yeah.
There was an Elvis in concert type documentary that was really popular.
Interesting.
But I didn't get to catch any of them. But yeah, Arco, a very, very good animated film that I think I'm going to be talking about on Chasing the Gold in terms of Oscar prospects for quite a while this season, if not all the way. I don't know if it's going to take down K-pop Demon Hunters at this point, but I think it'll be very much in the conversation.
Right. No, it's always good. I always love to hear about a good animated film, because I love to remind people that animated films are not just for children, and they're not all just Disney and Pixar, and those are good too, but no, so that's exciting, and I'm excited to hear that it's landed at the mid to top of your list. So
yeah, and we're just in a really interesting time for animation, because I feel like as Pixar has maybe faltered a little bit, it has led to this like rise in maybe more indie style animation, or these other studios are kind of taking advantage of this space, and it's led to these really interesting films. And I really like this one. Highly recommend. Obviously, I highly recommend everything on the top half of my list, but I highly recommend this one in particular.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is one I was not tracking at all. So
okay, next on my list, and because it's my list, is cheating a little bit, I guess, but is Sacrifice, directed by Roman Gavras, starring Chris Evans, Anya Taylor-Joy, Vincent Cassel, Salma Hayek. Charlie XCX has a fun cameo. Basically, the plot of this film is that it's a environmental gala, like celebrity-packed environmental gala, and everyone plays a celebrity, and they show up at this gala, and then it's like disrupted by this group of like eco-terrorists that are kind of a doomsday cult type thing. And Anya Taylor-Joy is the leader of this cult, and she's convinced that if she has like 3 sacrifices for this volcano that's going to erupt, she's going to stop the end of the world. So premise wise, I think it's one of the most interesting things that I've seen because it's very different, and that's why it does stand out to me. It's a really interesting sort of satire on celebrity culture and sort of like who we choose to prop up, our relationship to social media. I think, and I said this, I did, this is the one written review that I've written so far for In Session Film. Apologies to my editor, Dave, who wants to tear my head off. But I said in my review, like, the thing that kind of let me down is I think once we move away from the satirical elements and into like the cult and like the mythical aspects of it, it's not as strong. The reason why it's so high on my list is because it is so different, and I didn't know where it was going to go, and I was like with it the whole time. Which I was not for a lot of the other films that I saw. I felt like either I knew where it was going to go or I just didn't care where it was going to go. And I found myself kind of like on the wavelength of whatever this movie was going to do. And there's just like certain like bits in the movie that I keep thinking about and keep making me laugh. And as I've said, I'm just a huge fan of Chris Evans, and I think his performance in this is really interesting because he plays basically like an action star that's trying to be taken seriously. So there's like a lot of like wink, wink, nod, nods to his own career, which I thought were really fun. I don't know if they're on purpose or what, but all of that was really fun. There's just like a couple jokes in there that just really tickled me and made me laugh. And I'm not familiar with this director. He's a Greek director, but I've heard his backlog is super interesting. So that's like a really fun thing when you find a new director and you can kind of get into the work that they've done. And there's like there's like a couple sequences that I thought were really well shot. Again, maybe this movie doesn't come together for other people the way that it did for me, but it stands out for me. It's one of the most unique. I mentioned, another film, The Memory of Princess Moonby, in the last episode, that was also felt very different and kind of innovative. And this one also just feels like it's kind of on its own path, which I appreciated very much.
At first, when you first started describing it, it kind of immediately reminded me of what was I just lost it. The Disaster, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, where oh my god, why?
Oh my god, that's gonna
Shadan, why can't I think of it? It was
okay, but here's the thing. There's a trend of these sort of films, right? These sort of like commentary on the rich versus poor type movies. I mentioned in the last episode The Ballad of the Small Player, which is similar. Triangle of Sadness has a little bit of that. The Menu has a little bit of that. There's definitely like an uptick of these kinds of movies. And these kinds of movies appeal to me, right? So I guess your relationship to how you feel about this is how you're gonna feel about that theme.
Yeah.
But
it was Don't Look Up. That's what it was.
Don't Look Up. Yeah. I kept talking because I was like, I know you'll get there while I talk.
Yeah. But it kind of reminded me of that, like just like your initial description and like this like end of the world kind of movie. Do you feel like there's any comparison?
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, I think all these movies sort of exist in the same vein. And I, as somebody who obviously we love pop culture, that's what we're doing here. I like any time a film kind of comments on pop culture and comments on like the relationship we have to famous people and, the parasocialness of it all and how much do we really know what's going on. So like, I think all of that within the film is really interesting. If anything, the flaw is that there's just not more of it because it moves into something else. But it was still enough for me to feel like really compelled by it, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna recommend it. And I think that's the thing is like, how many of these movies am I gonna watch again when I get the chance to watch again? And this one is one of them, which is why it's higher than some of the other ones. Because you could argue like something like The Wizard of the Kremlin is better made than Sacrifice, sure, but I have no desire to sit through 2.5 hours of that again. Whereas I feel like Sacrifice, I feel like there wasn't really much extra fat on that film, where we talked about a lot of the other sort of bottom half being very bloated. And I feel like Sacrifice, like it did what it wanted to do, and we could debate how successful it was, but but yeah, there was a vision.
Right.
And I can appreciate that.
Right.
All right. Next up on my list is Frankenstein.
Okay.
Directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Yes.
Actually, Frankenstein was the first runner-up in terms of the People's Choice Prize. And I have to take a moment to say I told you so, because I tweeted that out. I was like, people were talking about, oh, the top 3 is going to be Rental Family, Hamnet, Sentiment of all these kind. And I was like, be on the lookout for Frankenstein, and I'll tell you why. As I tell you, Erica, like my favorite thing to do at these festivals is just talk to random people, not even the celebrities, not even my fellow film critics. I loved who's the person in the elevator, but asking them, oh, what have you seen? And Frankenstein was the film that people were so excited to talk to me about. As soon as they figured out that I had anything to do with movies, they're like, did you see Frankenstein? What did you think? And they were so excited to talk to me about scenes that they liked, scenes that they didn't like, what worked, what didn't. And that's really interesting. Like, that's going to be really interesting in terms of Oscar talk, because there's passion for this film. Even the people who don't like it as much have passion for this film.
Yeah.
I mean, this being one of the most anticipated films of my festival, I'm disappointed that it's 13, 14 and not higher. There are absolutely things that do not work about this film. We did a bonus episode that's on Patreon. I hope everyone listens to it. I sort of give a little bit of a tease of what I think of some of these films. Frankenstein is too long. It's too long. It's self-indulgent at times. A film critic friend of mine, Rachel, who I adore, she said to me, I didn't need to see Frankenstein's monster turn into Wolverine in some scenes. I absolutely agree. I think there's parts where Del Toro is sort of leaning too heavily into like the horror gore of it all. I think as a result, some of the richness of the original Mary Shelley text is lost. I don't think it goes as into the social commentary, sort of the heartache of the monster. I don't think is as explored. I mentioned in the episode, like, Frankenstein is my favorite book of all time. That book changed my life. I'm not even exaggerating. That book changed my life. And Del Toro is my favorite director. Full stop, my favorite director. I told you, like, if they told me take 10 years off your life and give it to Del Toro so he can keep making movies, I would do it. Like, that's how much I love that man. But so I'm disappointed in, like, it doesn't come together all the way. Why I put it at 13, 14 is because when it works really well. Jacob Elordi, as of right now, is my personal number 1 to win supporting actor. I think like his performance as Frankenstein's monster is incredible. We talk a lot about sort of when there's an actor in makeup, how much of it is performance, how much of it is the makeup. I think we're going to have that conversation a lot with Dwayne Johnson with the Smashing Machine. Like, how much of it is our shock and awe of the transformation versus the performance. Jacob Elordi, this is a performance. This is a transformation in every essence. It's not just what he looks like. It's what he's doing with his eyes. It's what he's able to communicate in, like, the smallest moments. It's fascinating. It's heartbreaking. It's interesting. Every decision he makes is just astounding to me. It's maybe my favorite performance of this entire festival. I was completely blown away. But that's the problem, is because Frankenstein's monster is coming, you're waiting for the entire first half of the film that you're with Oscar Isaac as Dr. Frankenstein. You're waiting to see that monster. And I think it makes it feel longer than it should. It drags it down. And then you get to your monster and he's incredible. And then every time you're not with your monster, you're missing him and so it's I think of all the films that I saw, I have such a complicated relationship with this one, because it's just like, it's almost, I have to respect the version of what was made, but I also kind of have to mourn what it could be.
That's what's so hard about when something is so much of like your favorite. And it's like, I can't imagine how you felt going into this, being that it's your favorite book and your favorite director. Like, that's a lot of weight on it for you. Yeah.
But I mean, again, the reason why I did, because there was part of me that was like, maybe it should be on the back half of my list. But the way that it's made is so stunning too, Erica. Like the production design, the cinematography, my God. I mean, every single shot, I was like, I want a picture of this to
Yeah.
keep forever. The
Yeah.
music, the costumes, like the creature design, astounding. I mean, really, and like Guillermo del Toro, his films are always well crafted. And like we talked about this in the other episode we did in part 2, where I said, like, I know Jodie Foster is going to give a good performance. I know Guillermo del Toro is going to create a really interesting world. And yet he still does it beyond what he's done before. Like that is a huge accomplishment. It's like I'm in awe of what he was able to make. I just wish the story was in better service of that. Like I feel like the world building took the front seat here. But it's just so good. Like I think even I just think crafts wise, like, it's gonna be
So I was gonna say, so obviously you think this is gonna get a lot of nominations, correct?
I mean,
Safe to say.
it'll be interesting to see, like, picture, because even something like Nightmare Alley got a Best Picture nomination. So I can see it being part of picture. I don't know if Del Toro himself is gonna go along for the ride.
Yeah.
Bless you. I
Thank
just
you.
don't
Sorry.
see a version of this where, like, you don't see the costumes, production design, cinematography, sound. Casting comes into play this year.
Oh,
So
right.
it'd be really interesting to see, like, if casting is gonna come through. And I will say just one anecdote, Erica, that I noticed at TIFF is because casting is new to the world. Every director was sort of shouting out their casting director, which is something that I hadn't seen before. But everyone was like, casting, cast.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they've already started pushing that, and rightfully so, because it is really well cast. I mean, Mia Goth is great. Christoph Waltz. I mean, even like the supporting cast is great. It just, I think it just lacks a certain depth. And it's just very, very visually rich. So I'll be interested to see how the sort of the masses react to it, because I think part of the allure was I was watching it on a big screen and I was hearing Guillermo del Toro talk about it. If you're watching it at your house, I'm just concerned because I'm like, that first part drags so much that it's like, how do you not turn it off, or like, how do you not give up on it?
Interesting. I
So
can't wait to see it, just because that's a choice to wait that long to bring in the monster when you know that's what the people are there for. So that, I mean, that's a choice. So I'm like really itching to see it, because
the problem is that I just don't think that Dr. Frankenstein, like, maybe he could have been more interesting. I don't know if it's an Oscar Isaac didn't fit, or maybe just wasn't as interesting, but it's very telling that, like, no one is talking about him. The entire conversation is the Crafts and Jacob Elordi, and that's a problem when he's the first half of your movie. So yeah, I'm really interested to see how people react. I'm definitely gonna watch this 2 or 3 more times and study it, and just be in awe of it. It's really beautiful. And if you have the opportunity to see it, if some theater around you is showing it, I highly recommend seeing it on a big screen. I think this being a Netflix movie that people are gonna watch is just such a disservice to the craft. It is the best crafted movie I've seen of the year so far. Like, purely on a craft level, nothing has come close to Frankenstein for me so far. Even Sinners, which I'm like all over the crafts of that movie, like Frankenstein, I think is just in a league of its own so far. And that's why it's as high, even though it did let me down. And of the films that I mentioned that were like my most anticipated, this one was the one that I was like, I wish you were better, but yeah.
Because if it did meet the expectations you had for it and what you wanted it to be, I'm assuming it would be like top.
I would have like ascended into the sky. Like,
this is how I felt about Wicked. When Wicked finally happened and it was like, oh my God, this is so good. You guys did it. Like, you actually did it. And I left that theater, it was like crying on the phone to you. Like, that's what I wanted for you for this.
Yeah.
And It's
No. That would have been like that would have ended me, as the kids say. I just would have been finished. Like maybe it's a good thing that like it
Yeah.
wasn't as yeah. But
My
yeah.
goodness.
Okay, my next film on my list is completely different. I did make an effort to watch quite a few foreign films at this year's festival and take advantage of the international aspect of TIFF. This was the biggest surprise for me. Not a film that was on my radar at all. It's called Diya, Diya. It's a film from the country of Chad. Shamefully, Erica, African cinema is just not something that I've explored very much, and so
Same.
I had this, gap in my schedule. I was like, what's available that I can go see? I just happened to get a ticket to this, and I just keep thinking about this. I can't stop thinking about it. Basically, so in Islamic culture, if you, commit a crime, commit a murder, you can basically pay the family like damages, and then instead of going to prison. So this bus driver, is driving, and he looks at his phone and he hits a little boy. And so he, has the choice. He can go to jail, or he can pay this exorbitant fee to the family as sort of a, retribution, if you will.
Yeah.
And so that's what the film is about, is he's trying to collect the funds, and
Wow.
his wife is expecting, so it's about sort of what happens to his family, what happens to the family of this little boy, and it's about grief, about consequences. It's a really interesting look at culture, and then sort of how culture and religion intersect.
Yeah.
It's told, I found it visually interesting. I thought the acting was really good. I found it really profound. I know that's cheesy to say, but again, it's just really stayed with me. And again, like every time I sat and was like making my list of what I saw, like I never forgot about Diya ever. Like it was just
I
front
love
of
this
mind.
too, because sounds like something that was not on your radar. You just kind of,
No.
I don't want to say stumbled into it, but kind of stumbled into it because you had the time. And that's honestly, that's the best thing about film festivals, period. Like that you, of course, go in with like, I definitely want to see this, and I want to see this, and I'm excited for this. But something like that, like I love hearing this, like, from, that it's something that you weren't anticipating at all. And like, look, it's something that like has stuck with you. I love that.
Yeah. No, it's just exactly like you said. And usually like when I'm making my schedule, I'm like, what are the most interesting directors or actors or whatever, but like I did try to squeeze in some random quote unquote films, and this one just like really blew me away.
Yeah.
And I love films that deal with sort of moral complexity, what's the right thing to do, and like consequences and all of that. There's another film that deals with similar themes that's higher up on my list. But I really love Diya a lot, and it really, really surprised me. So I hope people, as I make more of an effort to dive into African cinema as a whole, I hope other people do as well. I don't know. I'm hoping Chad chooses it as their submission for the Oscars. I think it could at least get shortlisted, if nothing else.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because
Very,
then
very
also
good.
too, like it makes things more accessible, right? So it's like, what is this something that would even like be able to be seen by people if it's not nominated, So
and that's the thing about these festivals, is like, yeah, they're starry and all this kind of stuff, but the point is that people can actually see these movies, and it can be really life-changing for these filmmakers.
discover hidden gems, and and just like let people's crafts be shown, right? Like their art be shown and viewed, and yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, up next on my list is another foreign film that I saw. Maybe one of the buzziest foreign films of the festival. Actually won. So the first time ever this year, Erica, TIFF did a International People's Choice Prize in addition to their top main. What I hate saying that, but you know what I mean. They added an International People's Choice Prize. This won the top prizes. No other choice. The Park Chan Wook film. Are you familiar with this?
No, I know that. I know them, but I don't know which film you're talking about.
Yeah, so No Other Choice, and obviously Park Chan Wook, known for Old Boy, Handmaiden, Decision to Leave, like one of the top auteurs of South Korean cinema, has not had a good relationship with the Oscars for whatever reason. This one, I think maybe his most accessible film, you should say. Basically, it's this man who loses his job, and the lead actor, again, phenomenal. I wish we kind of took international performances more seriously in terms of top Oscars, but he just again gave one of my favorite performances of the entire festival. I'm not sure I've seen him in anything before, but I loved the performances across the board here. The plot is that it's this man, he loses his job, and he is trying to find another job, and he sort of takes this sort of increasingly crazy surrealist path, but it's so relatable. We've all been on the job hunt, and so I just thought thematically it was so interesting in terms of like, who are we outside of our job? What happens when we find ourselves in these incredibly sort of more and more desperate, right? As the time moves forward, and his bank account is dwindling, and his children, his wife, and his pets, and like the bills add up. And so how far is he willing to go to be able to get employed? So it's aptly called No Other Choice, I will say. Yeah. I think this is a film that I'm very much need to watch again, and I look forward to watching again, just because it's very similar to the director's other work. It's kind of thematically, there's a lot going on. It's very long. It's another film that I think highly could have benefited from being at least 30 minutes shorter. If it was 30 minutes shorter, it would probably be maybe my 2 or 3 in terms of films that I saw.
Wow.
Yeah, I need to see it again. I really need to see it again and sit with it, and like, now that I know what happens. But I put it as high as I did, even though I did struggle with it. And to be honest with you, Erica, like, maybe this isn't I shouldn't admit this, but there were times where I was like confused. But I put it as high as I did because I just thought it was such an original concept. And again, I kept thinking about it. And sometimes when you move away from a film, you think about it less, right? And then sometimes you're able to kind of go back and appreciate it. And I kept going back to the performance, and I kept going back to like the little choices that were made. And it kind of grew on me the more that time went by. And again, I just can't forget about it.
Yeah. So you said you were kind of confused at some parts. Did it like tie up together at the end for you, or did you still leave a little confused? Or
I think that there's just a lot of plot, and so there were some things that didn't feel as necessary to the finality of it all. But it's also one of those things where it's like so much happens that depending on what part of the film might hook you the most, like that might be necessary. For me, the main thing that I cared about was like, is this man gonna be okay? Like, I really care. So then, like, when things kind of moved away from that, it lost me a little bit. But then again, to be honest with you, like, I just saw this in the morning and I was kind of tired, and so maybe if I was like more with it, but that speaks to how much I love this movie, because I was like, even though I maybe was a little bit not 100% there, I was still with it. Like, that's kind of the highest praise I can give a film.
Yes.
Like, I was operating at 70% capacity, and I was still like 100%, 120%, like on the.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I need to like do like a Park Chan-wook rewatch, because I think, I mean, I don't want to say like this is the best he's ever, but there's just something very like relatable and accessible, and like, yeah, I really like this movie. I think this is another one, like, I don't know if it's been named the top of the submission yet for South Korea, but if it is, like, if the Oscars finally come around to this brilliant man, I think this is another one that people are just going to be all over. It's really good.
And again, it's called No Other Choice.
No Other Choice. And this is another one. This is like Frankenstein too, where like, even if you watch it and you're like, the plot, I'm not 100% with it, or whatever, like, there's enough really good stuff here. Like, there's enough meat where even if it's not a 100% for you, like, you're still gonna find something where you're like, I'm glad I watch this. I'm glad I gave this my time, even if you're not in love with it, because I'm not fully in love with it either. I don't think it maybe works all the way, but when it works, it really, 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 really works.
No, I'm definitely adding it to my list and seeking it out somehow, because it's one of those that I think might, it's not gonna, doesn't really sound like it's gonna get like a theatrical release around here, but I feel like he's a well-known director, so it's something that could be streamable, and I'll definitely add it to my list. I'm adding all of these to my list, but
I want to say Neon. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's a Neon.
Okay. Yeah, let me see.
Film. I think we're heading into top 10, Erica, right? So far we've done Arco, we've done Frankenstein, Diya, No Other Choice, Sacrifice. Now we're in top 10 territory.
I'm excited.
All right. Actually, so my number 10 is not just the biggest surprise of the festival for me, the biggest surprise of the festival for everyone, because it was the top acquisition. It sold for $15 million.
Oh my gosh.
And it won the Midnight Madness, the top prize for Midnight Madness, which is like the horror subset of the festival, called Obsession. Have you heard anything about this movie? Have you seen any of the headlines?
Who's in it?
That's the thing that I love about this movie. No big names.
Okay.
Written and directed by a guy named Curry Barker.
Okay.
And I mentioned this a lot in part 2. Sometimes you see a film that is sort of has a plot you've seen 1,000 times before, and it goes where you think it's going to go. This one also has a plot that I've seen 1,000 times before. It's this guy. He has a crush on a girl.
Mm-hmm.
He can't really get out of the friend zone. He goes to this weird shop that has a bunch of weird things, and he sees one of those things that's like, oh, if you wish upon this, your wish will come true. So he wishes, I hope, and I forgot the character. He says, I hope, I wish she loved me more than anyone else in the world.
I think her name is Nikki.
Nikki makes his wish. What happens? Nikki becomes obsessed with him. That's where the title comes from. It's so fun. I absolutely see why they were willing to shell out the $15 million for this. I think this is going to be a huge hit in theaters.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's the most fun I had just with an audience. Everyone was so engaged, laughing, cheering. It's again, it takes some turns that you see coming, some that you don't. It's just it's wild. It's so twisty. It's just delightful and sort of delicious, and all the things that you sort of want at a fun horror movie. A great time at the theater. Again, just one of those movies that everyone wanted to talk about and cheer for. And I'm so happy. Yeah, again, I don't know anything about Curry Barker, but I'm so happy for this guy, because what a talent. The cast is really, really good. The actress that plays Nikki, she was great. Sometimes when you see these sort of weird obsessive roles, but I totally bought that she was just completely bat insane.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, do we know who bought it? Who's distributing it?
I think, if you want to Google, it's someone that I can't think of. It's not Neon or A24. I think they're gonna go for a big commercial.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, because I was do we think, we definitely think it's going to get Focus Features. Okay,
Focus,
sorry.
yeah.
Focus.
I think it's gonna be. I could see this coming out around Valentine's Day and being fun. Okay. I don't think that's what they're. I don't know. I'm saying if I were them, that's what I would do. That's free marketing advice. I just see this being a weapon style hit.
Okay.
It's just so much fun.
Okay. Do we think there's any? Sorry. Do we think there's any awards here? Do you think?
No, just because I don't think it's gonna come out for this season.
Okay.
Potentially, I don't think it's highbrow. So maybe not for that reason, but it is just a ton of fun. When this movie comes out, I will not stop telling people to go see it, just because it's so worth the experience.
I'm excited. This is totally not on my radar, so to hear people have reactions like that, and for it to sell for that much money,
it wasn't on anyone's radar. I think it's the biggest genuine surprise of this festival.
I love it.
came out of nowhere and really knocked people off their feet.
I love it.
Speaking of feet, Erica, my next film is a film that I really struggled with. And if there's any movie that I may regret putting up as high as I did, it's probably going to be this one.
Okay.
It's If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, starring Rose Byrne.
Okay. I love her.
The trailers, this was a Sundance film, I believe. The trailers have been out for a while. So if you guys have been at the theater, I'm sure you've seen the trailer for this. Basically it's this Rose Byrne, she plays this therapist, she's a mom, and she's having like the worst day of her. Let me backtrack. Before the film, and I saw this Friday, one of the last days of the film festival, Rose Byrne was there, and she said, imagine, like she said, close your eyes, take a minute to imagine the biggest trauma of your life. And then she said, take a minute and imagine the biggest trauma that happened to you today. It could be that you got a paper cut. It could be that you dropped your phone. Now imagine those things coming at you at the same time. And that's very much what this woman is going through. She has a child that's ill. You kind of don't really find out what's going on until later in the film. And then she comes home and her ceiling has caved in. Her entire house is flooded. So she has to move into this motel. And it's a film about those sort of bigger and smaller traumas coexisting with one another and sort of trying to survive.
Okay.
The reason why I struggle with this film is I did not know anything about this film going in. And I think that's kind of a disservice a little bit. If I had known, I would have better prepared myself for what I was in for.
Okay.
If you think that this is just, a motherhood film, it's not that. It is, Erica, relentless. There's something happening every single second. Even when she closes the door for a moment to herself, her phone starts to ring. Like the way the sound operates in this film, it's kind of like somebody compared it to Uncut Gems, and I very much like understand that I think it's an apt comparison. It's like the most frustrating. I felt like I was crawling out of my skin. I felt like there were times where I felt like I was going to be sick, to be honest. I think if I was watching it at home, I would have turned it off. Like I'm just going to be, it was that intense. And so like, if you are not ready for that, as I was not ready for that, it's going to get to you. And so I want to make that very clear that like all the trigger warnings abound for this movie. But so I really did struggle with it for that reason, because I was like, this is so much. But when you come away from it, like when I left the theater and felt like I could breathe again, then I was like, okay, I understand, because it does put you in the middle of this of what it's like to be a traumatized person moving through the world. And you feel what it's like to feel isolated. You feel like what it's like to be a woman sometimes, and how relentless it is just to exist. So it does everything that it sets out to do, and it does it extremely well. I think Rose Byrne is very good. I remember out of Sundance, there was a lot of like Oscar talk for her, and that's maybe faded a little bit, but I would love to see her in the top whatever. I mean, I think she's astounding. She's completely disappears in the role. I just think, I think you have to know what you're going in for, and I think you have to be ready for it. But if you are ready for it, it'll knock you over. I mean, that's literally the point of the movie. It's like waves crashing at you, and it's going to completely engulf you, and it's going to knock you over, and it's going to mess you up really, really bad. And if it is it worth it? That's entirely up to the audience. But I do think, again, like watching the trailer, and they're, Conan O'Brien and all, and you kind of think, oh, maybe it's going to be funny. It's not funny. Like, it's not. Even the funnier moments are wrapped up in intensity, that's what life is. And so again, I appreciate it, but it's a hard one. It's a hard one. I was
gonna say, it sounds a little overwhelming. I'm appreciative that you're like preparing me for it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it feels familiar. I'm trying to think if I actually have seen a preview for it. I mean, we've been going to the theater, obviously, like, and it's funny because it says it's a comedy/drama, which is also interesting. You saying it's not funny at all, but it sounds like it's like maybe dark. Is it like dark humor?
It's dark humor. I mean, you laugh because you're so uncomfortable. Like the things that made people laugh were wrapped up in like, I can't believe I just saw what I saw. And like, and again, the sound, like it's one of the most fascinating like sound experiences because you just like, because the daughter in the film, like she has a medical machine and even like the tick, tick, tick of the machine is just like in your ear and like.
Which again is like if you're really going through that or dealing with that, like that's what it would be like in real life. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
I think
I want to see this now. Like now I'm like, okay, when does it come out?
It's worth seeing, and it's like I do recommend it. I just recommend it with a caveat of like, please prepare yourself for what it is.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
But it stayed with me. So the next film on my list is much, 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 much lighter. And that's Derek Cianfrance's Roof Man, starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. I cheated because I told you a little bit about this in the Patreon episode that we did. I love Derek Cianfrance. He's one of my favorite filmmakers. I love Blue Valentine. I love The Place Beyond the Pines. And I loved this. It is sentimental a little bit, but I love sentimental things, and it completely was a huge surprise. Even when I watched the trailer, I forgot what movie I saw that it was playing in front of, but when I watched the trailer, I was like, this just seems like a sappy, like would-be TV movie. I think this is so much more than that, and I think it's a disservice to think of it that way. I think Channing Tatum, I tweeted this, I think this is the performance that we've been waiting for him to give his entire career. It's based on a true story. It's this guy who is on the run and he takes shelter in Toys R Us, and Peter Dinklage is great. He plays like this, I guess, aloof, completely oblivious manager that doesn't notice that someone is living in his store and eating all the M&Ms, and and there's a great love story at the core of it between Channing and Kirsten. If it was up to me, I think Channing Tatum, like awards wise, if not Oscars, at least Globes. At least Globes and critics and stuff. Like all those comedy awards, I think should be his, because he's so funny. Like it's genuinely, as touching as it is, like there's moments of really, really great comedy, and I think the film balances the comedy, and you root for him. Like I've mentioned a lot of films in the back half of this list where I just didn't feel invested in what was happening, even if everything was like done well enough. I just didn't care, but I cared about this person and this story so much,
right?
And I loved it.
You feel like, and I'm asking this question because I do feel like him like hiding out in a Toys R Us, right? Like I do feel like we've talked a lot about how so many of these films, it's like it's a story we already know and we already know and we already know. Like this premise, it sounds like really original and like, different. Do you feel like it is?
Well, I didn't know the true story. I guess if you do know the true story, then you would know. I didn't. So the whole time I was like, wait, is he going to make it out of this Toys R Us? Like, what's going to happen to him?
Right.
And like, you get in, and I talked about sort of Emily Blunt in The Smashing Machine being like the token wife, or like Alicia Vikander in the Wizard of the Kremlin. I liked that Kirsten Dunst felt like she was her own person. I was so invested in her. I wanted her to be like, she wasn't just some mom idiot that falls for this guy. Like, you really understand where their connection comes from, and you sort of care about her individually, which I really appreciated. I just think it's so well done. And like I said, Derek Cianfrance, like I just love him. I love everything that he makes. And I just love this. And I hope this is like a big moment for the two of them.
Yeah. I'm excited for this one. Like I said, I remember seeing the preview for this like a while ago and being like, what is this? Like this looks really weird, interesting. I don't know. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
And it's one of those things where every time I think about it, I just smile. I think it's great. It's great. And you know what? It's a mom movie. I understand, totally a mom movie, but I think it's a mom movie done really, really, really well. And your mom's gonna love it because it's a really good movie, and I think you're gonna love it because it's a really good movie.
Yeah, right.
All right, Erica, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
Before my next film. In the words of our beloved Taylor Swift, I did something bad. I did something I've never done before. A festival first.
What?
I went to see a movie twice. The same movie twice.
What did you see?
And the reason why I did that, why do I admit anyway, was because the first time I saw it really late at night, and I fell asleep. and I felt bad for falling asleep. So I had to see it again.
Okay.
And the movie that I'm talking about is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, which
yes. Okay, yes.
Which placed third at TIFF. All 3 Knives Out films, by the way, have placed in the top 3 at TIFF. This is also a really interesting movie because if you are going into it expecting a similar movie to the first 2, you're going to be disappointed. And I think that's why when I first saw it, and that's why I'm cheating because I saw it twice, but I think that's why when I first saw it, I was let down by it because it's very it's tonally different from the first 2. It looks different from the first 2. It feels like a completely different, like if you didn't have Daniel Craig in there, I would just be like, this is like a completely different thing. And so, if you were expecting sort of that campy fun, it's not even as funny as the first 2. If that's what you want, you're going to be let down. And I can understand why people have been a little bit let down by it. But when I watched it again, and when I watched it when I was fully awake, I was able to really appreciate sort of the depth, because basically the plot of this one, it's Josh O'Connor, and he plays a priest, and so his fellow priest, played by Josh Brolin, dies. Maybe I shouldn't say. Should I say that? Should I not say that? Well, there's.
I mean, literally the cover art is like somebody looking up from a grave, like.
Sure. You know? So he dies, and mini spoiler, I guess. But so then the plot. So the reason why I bring that up though is because what the movie is about religion and how that's been co-opted, and what the role of religion in our lives and in our modern politics and in our modern lives. And I feel a little bit okay saying, oh, so-and-so died, because what's interesting about this Knives Out film is that the murder mystery is not the main point of the movie. It's not even, I would argue, the central plot of the movie.
Oh, interesting.
And Daniel Craig sort of is not, he doesn't even play as big of a role in this one as he does in the other ones. So if you're going into it wanting a traditional murder mystery, I do think that's not what this is.
Okay.
But I do think, like I said, I think that what it's doing is subverting your expectations, and there's depth to it. I think Josh O'Connor fully gives my favorite non-Daniel Craig performance of all of the Knives Out films. He's astounding, like very, very, very good. Glenn Close is very good. I do think most of the other supporting cast is wasted. If there's kind of one complaint I have, is that this film doesn't utilize its supporting cast as well as the other films do. Okay. But I do really like that they took this sort of murder mystery thing and used it as a way to really explore like real life things, and it makes you think, and it makes you sort of question what you would do. And again, that's just something that I'm really drawn to, and so I ended up really liking this one. And I'm kind of bummed that it's going to be on Netflix. I know there's a short theatrical window, so I would recommend seeing it with people, because it's fun to see all the twists and turns with other people. Mm-hmm. But so it'll be interesting, because I'm like, what does it say about a film that you need 2 different watches to kind of get it? Maybe that's a bad thing, and maybe I am cheating a little bit, but I think it's sort of sitting with me now. I did really, really enjoy it and appreciate it. And also from a crafts perspective, like it is the best crafted film in the franchise. I thought the production design was, I don't know. I mean, the first one got nominated for original screenplay. Second one didn't get anything. Maybe this one gets in for like adapted. But I would love to see like production design or something. I just think it looks really good.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
love these films, so like I'm glad to hear you say that overall, like your experience is good with it. It's
yeah,
long. It's 2 hours 21 minutes. Like
it's long.
I was kind of surprised. I'm kind of surprised by that, honestly.
And another one that probably could have benefited from being like 20 minutes. That's probably why I
Right.
fell asleep the first
I was
time.
gonna say, yeah.
So, but yeah, I think if you stick with it, it's really good.
Yeah. So, okay, Shadan, so that was your number 7. So now we're in our top 6, is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And Erica, we are headed into, I would say, masterpiece territory. I'm
Oh,
gonna throw that out there. I think we're heading into like what's gonna be my top favorite films of the year, and some that are gonna be all timers. Genuinely.
okay.
Genuinely. So at number 6, we have the Palme d'Or winner. It was just an accident from Jafar Panahi, the Iranian filmmaker, great Iranian auteur. This was absolutely one of my top favorite, most anticipated films of the festival. Not just because obviously it won the Palme d'Or, so everyone sort of had its eyes on it. Panahi, I don't know. He's not my favorite of sort of the Iranian auteur directors that I've grown up with, but I admire his work. How should I describe the plot of this one? Basically, it's this father, mother, daughter riding in a car, and the dad hits a, I don't know, deer, dog, some sort of animal on the road. That's where the title comes from. It was just an accident. And he goes to this mechanic shop to repair his car.
Mm-hmm.
And at the shop, the mechanic guy working there realizes that he recognizes this man, and he recognizes him because this man was responsible for his sort of political imprisonment in Iran. And so what unfolds is sort of this, again, morality thing of how far are you going to go in the quest for revenge? What does revenge even look like? What's right? What's wrong? A whole other cast of characters who also have a relationship with this man. Both men come into play. So it was just a really interesting, I had no idea what was going to happen the whole time. I felt like it was just very tight in terms of how it was made. One of the very few films of this festival where I can say there's no extra fat. It's very funny in unexpected ways. The ending, it has the best ending of any film I've seen this year, maybe in quite some time.
Wow.
It's, deals with, I think, the sort of complicated Iranian political system and the regime and all of that in really interesting and thoughtful ways. Again, I love films that have this sort of deal with moral conundrums and complexities and moral gray areas. I think Iranian cinema in general does that very well. I think this film does that very well. I think it's the kind of film that when you watch it, you won't stop thinking about it.
Mm.
What I find interesting is that it did not place in the top 3 for TIFF's international film. So I don't know if that means that it's not as universally beloved as it was coming out of Cannes.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I really don't. That really shocked me. I don't know what to make of it now in terms of Oscars, because I sort of had it all over the place, and now I'm questioning. I think the screenplay, if nothing else, has to get in. I mean, the screenplay is just very, very good. And
what's it called again? It was just an accident?
it was just an accident, yeah. But I mean, the Palme d'Or winner the last couple years has done really well at the Oscars, and so I have to think that this one is also going to do very well.
Yeah.
And I just like movies that make you think and make you question your own life. I think that's what this movie does. And yeah, it's really good. And I universally recommend. I don't think you have to be Persian to like it or to care. And I think actually that's the point, is like, yes, this is happening to this man in a specific place, but we could all find ourselves in somehow a similar situation, and what would you do, I think is really interesting.
This is why it sounds very like kind of Hitchcockian to me. This is why like I'm so obsessed with Hitchcock films, because it's very much like, you know, situational, and it's the question is very much asking you, how would you react to this? And that's what it sounds like. Which I also love. I love the like, you know, testing your own like morality type of thing. Like, what would you do? How would you handle this? So yeah, this one I will definitely add to my list too, because it's
I do think it's going to be a film that we hear about all year. Like it's in the conversation. We're talking about chasing the gold. It's gonna be right there, I think.
Awesome.
The next film on my list, if you've been listening to Chasing the Gold for any prolonged period of time since Erica and I have been involved, you know that my favorite film of last year was Sing Sing. I adore Sing Sing. It's one of my all-time favorite films. That one was directed by Craig Quidar and co-written by Craig Quidar and Craig Bentley. This one is directed by Craig Bentley and co-written by Quidar and Bentley, so it's kind of the same team. So as soon as I saw that they had a new film out, I had to go see it. It played at Sundance. Erica, this movie, it's one of those movies where it's, if you've seen Perfect Days or something like Leave No Trace, it's very much in the vein of those films. Not a lot is happening, but there's, in my opinion, never a moment that I didn't care or wasn't invested. It's so beautiful, and it's about how you can live a very ordinary life and still find joy in beautiful moments, and how you can go through profound pain and still find joy in, you know, nature or your dog or whatever. And that's what it's just this man played brilliantly by Joel Edgerton. Again, one of my top favorite performances of the entire year. I think he's just astounding. And he just plays like this like sawmill guy, and he, you know, rides the train to the sawmill, spends several months there, and he comes back to his family, and he just lives a quiet life in a cabin, and we just see what happens to him and see him go through loss and pain and moments of joy. And I found it really, really deeply profound. I will say there was an older couple who was leaving the theater at the same time as me, and they broke my heart because they said, "What was the point of that?"
Interesting.
But so maybe this is the most controversial pick on my list as putting it, but I can't stop thinking about it. And it did the same thing that Sing Sing did, where it just put itself so deeply in my heart and touched me so profoundly. And Joel Edgerton does sort of the similar Coleman Domingo thing, where there's like not very much dialogue, but he just, with his eyes, you just completely are enamored by this guy and you care about him so much. And I think sometimes movies come into your life at the exact right time, and this was the movie that I needed to see. And I think it's just beautiful. And again, like, it's very similar to Perfect Days, where it's like you don't need to live a life where you're, you know, on top of the mountaintop every single day. Sometimes it really is the small connections that you make that are the most profound. And I think that this movie does that brilliantly. It's gonna be it's a Netflix movie, so it'll be widely available.
I was just looking that up. And it's called Train Dreams again, right?
Train Dreams.
Yeah, and I love Joel Edgerton. Like, I think he's really good. I feel like everything I see him in, like, I leave it and I'm like, he was so good, you know?
He was so good. And I hope people give it a chance. Like, I hope people, you know, like I said, it's slow, but it deserves to be slow. That's the point. And
you're supposed to sit with it. Yeah.
You're supposed to sit with it. You're supposed to meditate with it. And it's just beautiful. I really love this movie. And I apologies in advance, because this is another one of those movies that I'm not going to stop talking about. It really, really moved me. It really did. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'm definitely. Oh, wow. It doesn't come out until January.
yeah, I think they're doing hopefully going to do like a, awards run for it, but maybe it'll be on Netflix in January. As I mentioned, I'm going to have full notes and details in the show notes, so you guys will know when and where to watch all of these films.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now we're heading into top 4, which are my like top. Absolutely love all of these.
I'm so excited.
I mentioned this one to you, Erica, in our sort of Patreon episode that we did. My number 4, and this is a film that I very much thought was going to place for the People's Choice Prize, because people just love this film. That's Eternity. It's from A24. It stars Elizabeth Olsen, Miles Teller, and Callum Turner. And basically the plot is this elderly man dies. He gets to eternity, and they tell him, you have a week to decide where you are gonna end up. And his wife is ill, so he says, I'm just gonna wait for her. So then his wife passes away. She gets there. She's played by Elizabeth Olsen. And then we find out sort of this plot twist, which is that she was married before. And so now she has to decide, like, do I go with my first husband? And he's this charming, romantic, gorgeous Callum Turner, and he's been waiting for her for 60 years, and everyone's in love with him. And so who is she going to pick? And that's kind of the love triangle central plot. I mean, it's very funny. Very funny. It again moved me. I thought it was incredibly profound. You and I both really love movies about love and movies about relationships, and I think that is what this film does really well, of like what makes something profound, what makes something last, what are the moments of your life that matter the most. I think that this deals with those questions in a really beautiful way. I really love this movie. It's another one that I can't stop recommending and just telling people, like, oh, be on the lookout for this film. I was genuinely shocked that it didn't place in the top 3, because people were just so excited. Like, but did you see Eternity? But you said you saw 30 films, but did you see Eternity? You know what I mean? Like, people were just so and I think the performances are really good. It's just so creative. Like I mentioned, like Sacrifice, like the way that it deals with the eternity and the afterlife and all these different worlds, and you can choose which world you want to go into, and like what celebrities might you, all these kinds of things, like all these questions that we have about what the afterlife is. I think this does that in a really beautiful way. And I think when you find a film that can make you laugh but also move you and do those really, really well and in equal measure, I really did not have. I only saw this, to be honest with you, because people started telling me it was really good. It was not a movie that was on my radar. Like I saw it on the list and I thought, oh, it's just a rom-com. Like
I was gonna say, it very much gives that look. Like even if you look it up and you see like some of the images from it, you can very much write it off. I can see where people could write it off.
And I shouldn't say that because I love rom-coms, but when you're like making your festival schedule and you have these sort of bigger, weightier titles. Yeah. But I'm so glad that I saw it. I don't know in terms of like release if this is coming out. I need to double check. But I would love to see sort of awards attention for this, like the screenplay, the acting. I think Elizabeth Olsen is just so, so good. I think when somebody is stuck in Marvel land for a prolonged period of time, you kind of forget how good they are. And she's phenomenal here. Like really, really good.
I'm trying to see if it looks like it's coming out November 26th. So like maybe like Thanksgiving
time.
Yeah,
that would be such a great like holiday film to see with your family. It's hard because A24, like they have such a stacked slate every year. So that's what happens is like they have all these good movies, but then they prioritize like 2 or 3 and then the rest get sort of knocked to the wayside. So I hope people see it. I hope people support it. I think it's just going to make you feel good. Right. And that's the thing is I left that screening feeling so hopeful. And similarly with Train Dreams, like I left that screening feeling like a weight had been lifted, or like I connected to it in a way that does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And this is the difference between these films and the ones that we were talking about on the other episode, and like the back half of your list where you're just like, I just didn't care about these like you just didn't have a emotional feeling one way or another. You didn't have, like what's going to happen to these characters or what's going to happen, in this situation I've been put in. And there's something to be said for that, right? Like why these things stuck with you more. And like you said, we've kind of, this has kind of been the whole theme too, I think, is that yes, you could write off this Eternity film as like a typical rom-com, but I haven't seen any rom-coms that have made me make that choice, right? Where like you're put in this scenario of like, who do you choose, right? Like we've been put in a scenario of who do you choose, but not in this way. So like we are starting to see, these are the ones that like, it seems like it's like a little bit different of,
Yeah, I think sometimes like you go to the movies and you're like, I saw something and it was a perfectly okay way to spend 2 hours. And then sometimes you watch something and you say, I had an experience.
Yeah.
And it was like, again, I'm to use the word profound, but like maybe it changed you in even the smallest way, or maybe it like planted a seed in your head that you're going to go back to, or maybe you're going to find yourself in another situation and you're going to think about how that film maybe informed that. And I think especially with my top 5, like that's how I feel about these films, is like I feel a little bit changed by them in some small way, or like, even if you ask me a year from now, oh, what would you recommend? Like I would, any of these films, 1,000%. I don't even think you have to be a capital C cinephile. You know what I mean? Like, you just want a good time. You want to feel something. Go see Eternity, and you'll get there. Okay, my next film was easily, again, one of my top films of the festival that I was looking forward to. Like when I was like debating whether to come to Toronto, I was like, but I really want to see Sentimental Value. And it's Sentimental Value. I loved this movie. I will say, I keep seeing people being like, oh, it wasn't as good as no. This movie is very, very, oh boy. Okay. So it's directed by the same wonderful Norwegian filmmaker who I don't want to butcher his name, Johan Trier, I believe, who directed The Worst Person in the World. I've said many, many times that The Worst Person in the World is a movie that changed my life. I love that film. I think this one is similarly profound, but in a different way. It stars Renat, is it Rainsby? Oh God, I'm sorry to all the Norwegians for butchering your last names. Please forgive me, because I love this film so much. Basically, it's Stellan Skarsgård, Papa Skarsgård. So we had multiple Skarsgårds at TIFF. He plays sort of this iconic, filmmaker, and he has a strained relationship with his daughters. And so one of his daughters, Renat, she's an actress, and so he writes this script and he gives it to her and says, please be in my movie. And she's like, I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to be spending all this time with you. I can't really unpack everything in our relationship. And she has this younger sister who I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this one, as Inga Ibsodder Lilius, I think is how you say it. But she's phenomenal. And so it's these two sisters sort of dealing with this father that comes in and out of their lives, and it's about family trauma. And so at one point he decides to make the film, and so he casts Elle Fanning as his daughter. And so then so what I loved about this film is it's about so many things at the same time. And unlike some of these other films that have these sort of overly sort of full plots, I think this balances so well, because it's on the one hand about art and this guy trying to make a movie, and he's in the twilight of his career, and sort of Elle Fanning comes in and she's, what kind of performance is she going to give? What's she going to do? But it's also about these sisters who just fight for each other and show up for each other, and trying to deal with this load of trauma that's been given to them. It is a sentimental film. I guess if you don't like sentimental films, you're not going to like it. Again, I was deep
right there in the title, though. It's
right there in the title. I would wholeheartedly, again, recommend this movie to absolutely anyone, because I think even if, personally, I think you'd have to be a little bit dead inside not to connect to this film. But I think it's just so good, Erica. And it's the Norwegian pick for the international film category. I absolutely think it's going to get in there. I think it's going to get into picture. I think it's going to get into actress. I would love to see at least one, if not two, supporting actress nominations for it. I think Stellan Skarsgård. I mean, if Jacob Elordi is my number one for supporting actor, he's got to be my number two. Like, I think this film is just, it's so good. Like, it's so good. I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to sit with it some more. Yeah. The bar was so high because of my love for The Worst Person in the World, and this meant that. Absolutely.
I love The Worst Person in the World too. And, you know, that one was like, I feel like there was so much hype around that one, The Worst Person in the World. And when I finally got the chance to see it, it met my expectations. This one was like not on my radar only because of you talking about it. And now I'm really excited. And I have no doubt that it will meet my expectations, which is exciting.
Yeah, and I like his stories are just, there's like a simplicity to his stories because it's just about a family. And like, again, on the surface, we've seen plenty of family dramas, but I think like the honesty, like there was just some lines and some moments that I just found so raw and so honest. And I was like, this is what it's like to be alive. And he's completely captured it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting into my top two. We're almost there, Erica. I promise.
I know what at least one of them that's in your top.
Okay, my number two film of the festival is The Testament of Anne Lee, directed by Mona Fastfold. You know Mona Fastfold because she co-wrote The Brutalist last year with her partner Brady Corbet. The Testament of Anne Lee is sort of flipped. So she's directed this one and she's co-written it with Brady Corbet. And it's about Anne Lee, one of the founder of the Shakers movement, the sort of small religious sect. I just think that this film is such an achievement. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. Again, I would wholeheartedly recommend it to absolutely everyone. And I didn't know much about the Shakers, but basically the way that they pray and the way that they connect is through music and movement. So there's a lot of sort of musical numbers, musical elements in the film. Amanda Seyfried, she plays Anne Lee. She is incredible. I mean, she has the voice of an angel.
Right.
And you know what I liked, and I have to be completely honest here, Erica, a lot of times when I watch movies that have musical elements in them, even if it's like a Wicked, dare I say, sometimes I find some of the musical elements a little bit dull, and I find that they sort of break the momentum of the story. I didn't feel that with this. I felt like every musical number worked for me. It was shot in a way that was really interesting. I've never seen musical elements shot this way. And basically the reason why Anne Lee decides to sort of create this religious utopia, if you will, is because she sort of is dealing with a lot of pain, and so she's trying to separate herself from that pain, and the way to do that is through this religious movement, and I found that really beautiful. It's sort of like this like feminist, it's like feminism, religion, pain. The supporting cast is really, really good. Louise Pullman plays her brother, and he's sort of just like very devoted to her, and I thought that relationship was beautiful. I said to you after I saw it, I said this feels like an achievement, and I just it feels like cinema. It feels like capital C cinema. It's very different from The Brutalist, but it gave me that same thing of like when I saw it, I was like, I can't wait to see it again. I can't wait to tell everyone about it. I was lucky enough to be able to see it on film as it was shot, and it's just beautiful. Yeah. Again, every single shot felt intentional, beautiful. There's not much extra fat on this film either. Like in a festival of bloated films, it was so refreshing to see something like this, like very minimal budget. That's something that Mona talked about in the Q&A, was like this was a film she wanted to make for years and nobody would give her the money, and so she, like, what they were able to achieve on such a limited budget, the scope, was really astounding to me. Again, I was just profoundly moved by the performances, by the themes. There's something really beautiful about watching. I mean, all my top 4 or 5 films, 6 films have this in common. Like, there's something so beautiful about movies about people just trying to move through the world.
Yeah.
And I think all of these movies just do that really well. And sort of pain and what does that look like and how do people deal with that. And I love The Testament of Anne Lee. Honestly, I was really close to putting it as my number 1.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so what ultimately made you put it number 2?
Because my number 1 movie was my number 1 movie of 2025 that I was most looking forward to, and it did not let me down at all. And that is Chloe Zhao's Hamnet.
Yes.
And shall I say, it was not just my number 1, it was also TIFF's number 1 and won the top People's Choice Prize. Chloe Zhao now with 2 top prizes at TIFF because she also won for Nomadland.
Yeah, so exciting.
Yeah, Hamnet, Erica, is I said in my last episode there were 2 films that made me cry. One of them was The Lost Bus, and the other one was Hamnet. It's just, oh my god. Okay, so it's based on the novel by oh my god, why am I blanking?
Yeah.
Help me out.
Maggie
O'Farrell, who's one of my favorite writers in the whole world. I love the book. Love the book, which is why the bar was so high for this. I love Chloe Zhao. I'm one of the only people on the planet who loved Eternals. Like, that's how much I love her. Like, I love everything she does. The plot, for people who are not familiar, basically Shakespeare had a little boy who died. I mean, it kind of blends facts and fiction, but the idea is like he had this little boy who died named Hamnet, and through the death of Hamnet, he's inspired to write Hamlet. And so the story is basically told from the perspective of his wife, played brilliantly by Jessie Buckley. So it's an exploration of grief. And if you know me, you know that I love explorations of grief. And I think this is it's just beautiful. It's, you know what I kept thinking about, Erica, is like it's like the kind of movie that shows you and doesn't feel the need to tell you.
Yeah.
Like it communicates so much in the silences and in the small moments. And I really love, I love movies that do that. I love, it doesn't need to hammer you over the head with like devastation. It's devastating because you can see it in the performances and you see it in how invested you are in this little boy. Played brilliantly by Jacoby Jupe, little brother of Noah Jupe.
Okay.
And Noah is also in the film, so both brothers are in the film, which is interesting. It's also just interesting as a work of adaptation because it's very different from the book. It's actually, the role of Shakespeare is very expanded in the film. He doesn't really show up in the book much at all, but it's it's and Jessie Buckley is incredible. I mean, what she does
I love her. She's one of those two that like pleasantly shows up in every film. Like, I am happy to see her every time she shows up. So.
Yeah. Why is it number 1? Because it moved me. It stunned me visually. I think the score is incredible. I think, I mentioned the casting Oscar. I think Nina Gold, like, they're going to be just engrave the Oscar. I think that every single person here is operating 10 out of 10. Again, it's one of those things where it feels like every single scene serves a purpose. Like, Chloe Zhao is choosing to show you this. And as the film kind of unfolds, you see why. And I think that's the brilliance. And it's like the kind of movie where I can't wait to rewatch 1,000 other times to kind of revisit how the pieces come together. I think the chemistry between Paul Mescal and
Jessie Buckley
is just incredible. Like, you kind of see why they fall in love, and the way that their love story unfolds is really beautiful. I think a lesser director would have picked very obvious ways to depict what we see, and she just takes an interesting route. She doesn't show you, even like as somebody who's read the book, like I was like, oh, I'm surprised that wasn't in there. but I think she communicates everything very intentionally and very beautifully. And I love this movie. And there's other movie. I haven't seen One Battle After Another, the new Paul Thomas Anderson. Is Hamnet going to be my absolute favorite movie of the year? I don't know,
Yeah.
but it's like it's just so good. And
Yeah.
I keep thinking about it. And the things that I think about are not the big moments. They're like the small moments, like the looks,
Right.
yeah.
So
And it oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, someone who you read the book. I started the book. I haven't finished it yet. I need to finish it. So I'm planning to finish it before I see the movie. Do you think this is one that does it matter? Do people need to see, read the book before they've seen it, or what do you think?
I think she does a good enough job of, like, even if you haven't read the book, you're still, because honestly, I think having read the book, if anything, even hampered, because there's things that aren't included. So I'm like, oh well, why didn't she include that?
Oh,
So maybe
okay.
like not having read the book would actually benefit, as much as I want you to read the book because I want to talk to you about the book. But no, I think they actually stand like alone in really
Oh,
interesting
okay.
ways. And it's co-written by Maggie O'Farrell, so hopefully she'll get her little like Oscar nomination as well. But yeah, I can't stop thinking about this movie. Like
Yeah.
it's playing in my head, and like none of the other films are playing in my head.
Yeah.
And it is emotionally devastating, but I don't think it's emotionally devastating in a bad way. It's not like pushing your buttons and being like cry, cry, cry. You
Right.
cry because you feel it so deeply.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not overselling. Now I'm overselling this movie, but
No, but this is the difference too, right? Where like this was a really highly anticipated one for you as well, and just in the way Frankenstein was too, and like look at how different your reaction is
yeah,
to this than to something like Frankenstein.
because like
So
because the thing is, I want the movies that I watch to look pretty, but I also want to be moved, and I think just
yeah,
Hamnet just moved me. And again, like it's just about, and obviously William Shakespeare is this larger in life figure, and it's about sort of creating art, but it's also this mother who she says what is a mother's job more than just to keep my kids alive. Like it's just about
right.
trying to survive. And I just thought it was so brilliant, and the way that this little boy like just breaks your heart and you just love him so completely. Yeah, Hamnet is really special. Is really, really special. And like I said, even if you watch it and you're not as in love with it as I am, okay, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
obviously drawn to certain thematic elements. Like I like but I think even if you watch it just as like not even having any of that, there's still enough for you to be completely like taken by it, I think.
Right.
As obvious as evident by the fact that it won the People's Choice Prize.
Right.
Um
So I think that one is going to be, as we discuss more and more into
yeah.
award season, I feel like it's going to be up there,
Yeah, it's interesting because we don't know if The Testament of Anne Lee is coming out this year.
Oh,
If it does, I think that's going to be a big one, kind of similarly how The Brutalist kind of came out of nowhere. But like Hamnet and Sentimental Value for me, I just don't see a world where those two are not like in picture. Like I'm not ready to be like, oh, Chloe Zhao is winning another Oscar, but like it's just yeah. And I mean Jesse Buckley, like again, and Paul Mescal, oh my god. And I don't know if he's gonna, we'll talk about this more because there's a question of like, is he gonna be lead or is he gonna be supporting? I don't know. But there you could make an argument. I mean he is the lead. He is the lead male, but for awards purposes I could see.
right.
But yeah, I just, and like if you're talking about the best films of the year, like it's Hamnet, The Testament of Anne Lee, Sentimental Value. Ah,
I'm excited. I want to watch all of these now, and I'm regretting not going to TIFF with you. I should have just done it.
Yep.
Maybe next year.
I'm gonna get you there. I'm gonna get you there.
Or
You
maybe
and
next year we do New York. I don't know.
Yeah.
More to come, but
Well, yeah, more to come. Yeah, and I will say, like, because I keep seeing people being like, "Oh, Hamden is emotionally devastating," but not in the way that I was like expecting it to be. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think. Again, the point is not to devastate you. It's so much more than that. It's not trauma porn. I've seen a couple people describe it as that, and I find that actually really offensive because I think there's like a depth to it, and there's it has something to say about making art and about what it is to be a mother, what it is to be a daughter. Like, I just think, I think it's just beautiful. And it is the kind of thing, like, it forces you to sit with it and think about it. And like I said, it's just playing on a loop. It's playing on a loop in my head.
I can't wait to see it.
I love it so much. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have gotten to experience it. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have gotten to experience all of these films, even the one that are lesser on my list. It's just a really beautiful thing to be able to be in the room and meet all these incredible people. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound so cheesy and awful, but like, when I watched Hamnet, it was the kind of movie where I was like, I'm grateful to be like alive. I'm grateful to be able to like experience moments like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's cheesy at all.
So yeah, it was a very interesting festival, but I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see all of these films that are now on my list because of you. Do you want to run through your top 15 again?
Sure. Okay, so at number 1 we have Hamnet. At number 2 we have The Testament of Anne Lee. Number 3, Sentimental Value. Number 4, Eternity. Number 5, Train Dreams. Number 6, It Was Just an Accident. Number 7, Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery. Number 8, Roof Man. Number 9, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Number 10, Obsession. Number 11, No Other Choice. Number 12, Diya. Number 13, Sacrifice. Number 14, Frankenstein. Number 15, Arco. And as I mentioned, I will have full show notes so that you guys can watch trailers and learn about release dates and all those fun things. But a massive thank you to all of you for listening, to JD, our wonderful EIC, to my wonderful editor, Dave, who's a little bit mad at me because I didn't write all the things that I said I was going to write, but I over-crammed my schedule and I didn't actually plan writing time, which I should have done. But yeah, I will have more reviews and we'll talk more in depth about these films as we move through the season, and they will be all over my Oscar predictions. So it's gonna be. I know, Erica, like we talked about, like, oh, what's coming out this year? Is it gonna be a good season? It's gonna be a good season.
I know. I'm excited because, like I said, I just feel like it's been a weird summer. I don't know. I'm excited. There's so many good things to look forward to, and such a great list. You saw 30 amazing films. It sounds like. I can't wait to see them so we can talk about them together.
I'm giving you homework though before our next episode. We gotta go see the new Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, when does that come out?
It comes out next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because Tyler and I were actually talking about it too. But then when you texted to me the other day and I was like looking, I'm like, there's no way this is out already and I haven't gone to see it. So
it may be out by the time this particular podcast comes out.
Oh, okay. But, then we will definitely.
We'll definitely be talking because that one has completely skipped all the festivals. And so wasn't really on anyone's radar really. So I'm super excited to see that. Can't wait. That's been all over the like, oh, that's the film. So now I have to compare. But yeah.
Yeah, lots of good stuff to look forward to. I can't wait. Award season is just,
it's here. It's upon us, guys. Get excited.
I can't wait. So, okay. So where should everyone, we got to remind everyone to follow us.
Yes. I'm at Shadan Larkey. Erica's at eRock Reviews. I do want to say, please, if you like this podcast, the best thing you could do for us is to rate and review us on all of the different platforms. It helps people find us. Follow In Session Film on social media. There have been a lot of incredible reviews coming out of all these festivals, so there's a lot of good writing to read and engage with. Please do that. We just have so many wonderful, talented people working with us. And then we have our Patreon. So if you feel so inclined to support us there, that would also be really, really wonderful.
Yay! Could not have said it better myself, my friend. So, all right, that's it for Shadan at TIFF. TIFF is over, and
This is over.
And now we just look forward to, I guess, the Paul Thomas Anderson film, and we'll talk about that after we see it. So,
yeah.
Thanks again for listening, and we will be back soon.